All right, welcome everybody. I am Paddo. With me is Auran Alchemist, champion of our last Duelist Community Throwdown, and we're gonna go through, ask me a few questions, and play some games and have some fun. How you doing today, Auran?
I'm doing pretty good. Just got off graveyard shift. Well, actually got off my sleep from getting off graveyard shift.
Yeah, our new nickname for you might have to be Snorlax since you play a lot of these tournaments pretty sleepy. It seems like.
Yeah, I like yesterday I ended up dropping from the Force tournament like after round two because I couldn't stay up. I had about 2 hours of sleep before before the tournament started. It was pretty brutal, but I managed.
So, how
Uh,
did you get into tactical card games or turn-based strategy games?
um, I actually the first time the like I met one of my friends. He introduced me to D&D. Then he introduced me to Magic, and basically he gave me every addiction I could possibly have for the foreseeable future. Um, um, yeah, it kept me off drugs because I never had money for drugs. I was playing Magic. Um, then he introduced me to Fire Emblem as well, and I pretty much like would play like every Fire Emblem series, Advanced Wars. I did all that sort of stuff, and it eventually like it just like I wanted to do as much as possible. Like I'm very competitive. My friend says like no duh when I mentioned it. Um, but it's like I am like super competitive. I tried to actually get um like I went tried really hard to get like onto the pro tour in Magic, but of course like me trying hard was like I was only ever able to attend like one GP a year, like a Grand Prix, which is 1,000-person tournaments.
Yeah.
And like I actually have a pro point in Magic. Wee.
Do you have it mounted somewhere? Is there a way to mount your pro points?
No, a pro point is really just kind of like sort of like a status kind of thing. Like you have to get like a certain amount for it to matter at all.
Okay.
Like like qualifier points sort of
Okay.
thing. Um, but I have that. I do have the check for my winnings from that Grand Prix. Like I had the stub, like the little 10
Nice.
a whole $200. Woo!
Hey, I mean that's actually not too bad considering like if you think about gaming in general now. I mean you can make a bit off of gaming, but I mean back then that's actually just a decent amount of money for playing in a tournament.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how'd you get into Duelist?
Uh, Duelist, I what happened was my friend, the same exact friend, he he showed me the Kickstarter, and like it was pretty much everything we had both like talked about, like what we wanted out of games. Like we had tried to like in ourselves, we had tried to make like D&D, like at one point we actually tried to make a tactical MTG. Like we tried to figure out the rules for like turning all the Magic cards into like a tactical board game. And what the heck happened to? Why can't I attack? That is a bit of a glitch here.
Yeah. You took four back and then
That is
super stealth patch. You no longer have celerity. GG.
like oh, line nerf.
Yeah. Stealth update hotfix. But how long have you been playing?
I've been playing Duelist. So like the Kickstarter finished in I think it was March of last year, and in July is when we first like when we found out about like the big changes that they were making. Um, we found out about um, like we found of the first card list that they gave us, which was just Lionar, Songhai, and Abyssian at the time. Like we didn't even have Vitruvian cards. I don't believe in like the first update that we had cards. And on the forums, we started becoming like a few of us started becoming very active, and it ended with us figuring out how to um, play correspondence games. For those not familiar with that term, it's when you essentially you play like in the image of chess, it's where you would say I move my pawn to like A5 or whatever. And oh, that was a terrible. I lost my land for nothing there. It's like you move your pawn to A5 and like you send those messages to people and you're both on like separate boards essentially, but you can play together that way.
Wait, so it's like back and forth, and you have like a grid, and then like you're proxying kind of like the cards and like just like emailing back and forth, sort of, or
Exactly.
on the forums. Oh, that's pretty cool.
And so what we did is we came up with like the little grid. Someone was able to format it properly, and then we would use random.org and like for a shuffler and stuff like that. And it ended up as just like I think it was like 8 of us at the time doing that. This is going to be awkward for me on this turn. Just going to work on that dude over there. It was like 8 of us. I still actually have some of those transcripts. Funny enough, like
Those some epic games of the back and forth. Like how long would it take to play a correspondence game for you guys? Like usually like in real time.
so like the biggest indicator is because like one thing is like it's hard to schedule with people. So it's not necessarily like there were games that would take the span of like 3 days, depending on how we were able to communicate. But the biggest indicator is that like in the limit of a turn, like even if you only had 2 or 3 units, it could easily take about 20 minutes to just write out your turn. And like that's saying like you only did 1 or 2 actions and you only cast 1 or 2 spells.
Yeah.
So it was like I think there was one game that took 6 turns. Like each of us took 6 turns for it to finish. And we were actually like responding right away. And it still took, I believe it was 6 hours for us to finish.
Wow.
You know, like it was a lot of work, but we like even then we could tell like we had something like really good on our hands. So we were definitely willing to make that effort.
Yeah, so like there's a lot of excitement around like the potential of like the game and like and how things were going, and like so you could just tell like even in like this correspondence, even though it was taking a long time, you guys were still engaged. You were like really excited for probably the full launch of Duelist when you could actually get your hands on and play it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like the complexity was like really good. This was also back, oh my God, like I feel so like every time people like talk about it, it's like I feel like such an old fogey. Like in my day, we walked 5 miles up the hill. Because at that point there was no strike back, so aggressive decks were actually like really powerful because your Komodo chargers and stuff would like, you know, just keep attacking. There was like so many things that have changed since then. Azurite line used to be a 4/4 for 4 core, but like we were like learning everything we could, trying to figure out what was good, what was bad, you know, like learning the ins and outs. And we were happy to do that work for it. And then finally, the pre-alpha, the first wave came out December 17th or so, something around there. And from then on, it's just like it's been this and Guild Wars, like just as much as like I can't actually afford to play both of them.
Whistling Blade.
Yeah, that's actually going to be pretty brutal. I'm most likely not casting that this turn. What was the last spell cast now then? I think it was my True Strike, which isn't what I want really. It's not what I want, what I really, really want.
Yeah, unfortunately not going to be the perfect answer here.
Yeah. So I can completely ignore that for now.
So, we're playing actually the new hand rules. I mean, before like it used to be 4-card hand, and you would just basically be able to get whatever card back you want. How has the game changed for you after the new hand rules have dropped, and now that it's limited card hand, card advantage is a thing? Like, how's it changed?
So, like, funny enough, like, I had to just alter my deck right before we started talking because I actually have 2 accounts. Auran is like my main account, but then I also have Alchemist. Surprise! And basically that lets me play two different factions at the same time, and for the most part, I actually get to play like every faction if I really want to. And it it lets me do a lot of different things, but every time I get one of them up to rank 0, I tend to end up playing the other deck. So I haven't updated Lionheart much for the new Mulligan rules. And it sort of like it really showed because when I was playing the tournament, like um there were just like a lot of little things that were going on that oh, I better do this first before I don't have that as an option.
Yeah,
I move away, it's like, oh yeah, that entropic decay, so good.
yeah. Would it be very useful there?
Um, so it's like I haven't updated, and it actually changes so much of this game. Like it's pretty much just as big of a change as the strike back rules.
Yeah.
That like now everything strikes back because honestly, from pre-alpha, since I have been playing for so long, I really started to notice like the limiting factors that the draw up to 4 every turn was going to have,
Yeah.
because there wasn't really that heavy of a cost. And you can see in the games from where I won the tournament, like I was taking advantage of it, and it's almost like I almost feel bad in a way. It's that it wasn't like that's what the game was at that point, but
Yeah.
it felt like, you know, I'm kind of abusing a little flaw in the system.
So would you say it wasn't as rewarding to you in that sense, like the game was limited in that way?
Um, I wouldn't say that it was less rewarding, but I could see where down the road when they would add more cards, like essentially they could never really add a one cost rush unit. Like that was the whole issue with uh
Komodo Charger.
Komodo Charger. Komodo Charger. Because of that sort of restriction, they would never really be able to make one drops like that, and overall that would really become unhealthy for the game. Ooh, that I think I have to kill that one. God darn it, Vitruvian! Uh, there's like really no good option here. Erg.
So yeah, I would say like you are definitely one of the players that when I watched play the game, like you were very good at like playing out mana curves, like dropping lots of units, like you played the system like really well. Like you pretty much like were the players I could tell that like you got the most out of your turns as possible, basically.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
I feel like that's what made you really strong.
Yeah, that's exactly where my strength is, that I'm very much aware of like what is important. Like I'll make mistakes and I'll forget like what cards people can have because like I have somewhat bad memory. But as far as analysis of like maximizing options, that's usually where my strength is. So it's like I actually understood the system before like really well. Uh, it just became sort of like, oh, I can see where this is going to be like an issue down the road,
Yeah.
and it's going to limit design options and stuff like that. Because like I've seen, like since I've played Magic for so long, I've seen like cards have to get banned and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So it's like I can kind of tell where there might be issues. Oh, this game is starting to spiral out of control. Damn, drain morale.
Yeah. It's been a pirate in the pudding, if you will.
Yeah. Like one card I'm noticing that I'm finding a little less value in is like Sundrop Elixir, whereas I ran 3 before because it was like it's cycled. It's like 5 life is a really good buffer, especially since you can add it to like your minions. But it's becoming a lot less appealing nowadays.
Yeah, I mean, like core value is a thing. So basically having a high cost unit, like usually you get something more powerful out of it. And now that like every card just doesn't replace itself, now like have like Sundirect Elixir problem, like you're saying is it costs 0 and you get the 5 life, but it's not as powerful as something that, hey, maybe costs 4 and can fill like I'm actually getting the core value out of my turn versus the
Yeah,
thing that's free.
yeah, that's exactly it. It's like now it's a lot more work now.
Yeah.
Essentially, I'm just saving this Aegis barrier for the enslave. Counter that enslave. Oh God, no! I need like real things.
You keep kidding, like, oh, I'm gonna hold you in place while you kill me. That's basically what's
Yeah,
happening here, unfortunately. So this is a brutal game, man.
yeah.
So what would you say is like, uh, what would you say is your style?
Um, I I'm very much like most of my friends and stuff like would agree like I'm a control player, but as time goes on, I'm closer to a combo player, not in the regards that I only want to do combos and stuff, but that when it comes down to it, I want to have a good finisher. Like I don't want I used to do dirtle control. For those that don't understand, it's like where you actually do nothing. You don't win the game. You just like make it so your opponent can't win the game ever. And I used to do that. Oh, that's I'm probably dead, I think. Maybe. Nope. And I'm gonna get enslaved. I bet you. That's 5 damage there. Nah, that's okay. I'll do that. Haha. Screw your little dervish. Now watch the enslave. Um, I like having finishers. Like I don't want to dirtle around and do nothing
Yeah.
anymore. And but I tend to avoid aggro. Like most of what I want uh is like I want to apply pressure, but I very much want to have options. Like that's like generally the whole thing. Oh, okay, I'm dead. This game spiraled very out of control when I started drawing all these like 3 cost
Yeah.
cards.
And your lions stopped having celerity.
Yeah, yeah, that was really annoying.
And
Um,
anti-rad, I don't know about that name. I guess if he's anti-radiation, then I guess I can get behind it. But
yeah, like radiation's bad. I mean,
yeah,
unless you're gonna get superpowers. I mean,
yeah. In that case, that's pretty cool.
yeah, like,
So what faction is your favorite? Is it Lionar? Like, because that's pretty much all I've seen you play.
well,
Besides the few times I've met you on Alchemist.
yeah. So, that's kind of the sad part is like, Lionheart is my base faction. It's my wheelhouse. Like, it's the faction that like I am known for playing. But for the most part, I actually like it's the same in Magic. I play what wins me games.
Yeah,
Like um like I have no qualms about like I played for anyone who actually like knows about Magic or like a little bit older reference here, there was a deck known as Callblade in Magic, and it was like the like one of the best decks in Standard like in a long time. And I had no qualms about literally just taking that deck and playing, like just tuning it a little bit. Like, well, I know other people are going to be playing it. I tend to play what's best, and for a long time, I actually thought Lionar was like the best. Um, I think Songhai is probably the most efficient, but I always figured Songhai had like an issue where um, they could fall behind really quickly, right?
mm-hmm.
Like if they were ahead, they could finish you off before you could recover.
Yeah,
But like, and I think Abyssian and Vitruvian are really nice in that they can sort of make spiral the game out of control. But it was really like Liner that had the most base value to me, and that's where I stayed as far as factions were concerned. Let me just kill this. close crawler.
So what advice would you give to new players if they're just getting into Duelist now, and like they want to level up and get better? What advice would you give them?
That's one like that's where I would actually really recommend Lionar or Magmar, because those are the two factions that are they're I want to say the least complicated in a way, in that they work, their strength lies in like the base mechanics of the game. Playing dudes that are good value and getting a really strong board presence and winning that way, which is like the core of the game, right? It's like you play dudes and that's how you kill them. Unless you're Slong High, then who cares? So it's like that's where I would tell them to still like before they disenchant or like craft anything, to really play those two factions and see what they like and don't like, and that way they would see maybe like at that point they would also see how like Abyssian plays. Like they would generally run into those cards by that point.
What do you think the biggest mistake the new players make?
A lot of times I actually think the biggest mistake that I've seen people make is that they start like crafting immediately without really knowing what they're trying to build, and it leads to these people who are like, well, I built this Vitruvian deck because I saw this Vitruvian deck beat me so hard, so I like crafted all these cards, and now I don't actually want to play it because like it's not actually my play style. So like the basic cards, like I actually in February I had a bit of an issue because like my playtime was so limited, the month was shorter, and part of what I was doing during that month was I was trying to play. I actually went a little too far in the premise of what I wanted to prove, in that I played all basics, under 3 cost, and less than 5 spells.
So Super Quest.
It was super hard. But I think except Magmar, I had winning percentages on all the factions. At least like 50-50. Magmar, I think it was like 30%. And Lionar, the basics, just on basics alone, I had something like an 87% win rate. So it's like Lionar is actually one of the best basics. I mean, if you actually look at it, it's like Silverguard Knight and Windblade Adept and Silverguard Squire. Those are all basics. So they're really good. Ooh, that is a pretty brutal Suntide Maiden. Ouchies. I am like getting crushed. So one thing is like how I've lost these 2 games and I've said that my deck is like under construction. What a lot of people tend to fail to do is like I've seen what my deck does at this point, right?
Yeah.
What I want to do is as soon as this game's over, I'm gonna like go and I'm gonna show you my deck building process, because wait, cards don't cycle anymore. Don't want to just do that anymore. see, why didn't I get this on the last turn? That would have been so good. It would have dealt with
glorious.
This. It's like, and I'm gonna like show, because one big thing is people will tend to get into this, well, I want all these cards. Oh, I'm dead. It's like I want these cards, and like this is what I want my deck to do, and it's like they start wondering why they're losing, and they don't realize that there's cards that are underperforming, like cards that aren't working towards the strategy that they want. And this happens, like, luckily I've had so much experience with Magic, so like Aegis Barrier has been in both those games, it's just been a dead draw.
Yeah.
Like I actually need a bit more threat density, and so I'm just gonna look for something to have some board presence. So one thing is that I also noticed is that I lacked a little bit of removal. So in this regard, I actually will go with an Arclight Sentinel to fill that slot. And it's like little things like that is where you notice that something's a little off. That it when you start picking up on that, that's when you start really improving.
Oh, okay.
And of course, there's times where the metagame just like changes drastically, or you just run into 17 Magmar when you're like it was all Vitruvian the day before.
Yeah.
But for the most part, it's like as long as you're aware of these little things, and it's like you're constantly trying to tune, you'll see that you'll do a lot better. Like in any game, it's not even like honestly games. Like since played MTG and Dungeons and Dragons, and like sort of doing that little mini maxing stuff, I've always had a bit of an advantage. Like I actually have put my judging in Magic the Gathering as a oh my god, what is the words? There are words as part of my like skills
Okay.
for MTG for like work on my resume,
Yeah.
and it actually is like it's really true. Like when you organize tournaments and things like that, it's like you're actually learning skills that work for any sort of like office position management. Like when you have to, organize 400 people, it's there's a lot of work involved in that. Oh, I actually should have attacked with the Sunstone Templar because of Plasma Storm or the Cantor War Beast. There's just a lot of things that you get out of games that people don't really understand that they're doing.
Yeah.
And it's just the being more aware overall. Like it's just being aware of what you're doing and why you're doing it is overall the key aspect of improving at the games and really like improving at anything.
So actually, go back to the tournament that you were in. Like, you won the winners bracket all the way through. You ended up going to the finals, and you had to wait a while. Like, what was it like? Like when it went to like a second best of three. Like what were your thoughts there? Like playing in an extended series like that. Did you thought you were gonna win the first series, and then you realized like, oh shit, this is a tough match. Like, what was that like?
I've been in so many situations. Like if I said, oh yeah, no, it was easy. I wasn't even like stressed. That's complete utter BS. For the most part, it's not about like never being concerned or anything like that. It's just the ability to sort of set that aside and not let it get to you. Like the second you start saying, "Oh, I deserve to win," if like I think I lost game, no, I won game one, and then I was like, at that point, most people are like, "Yeah, look, I'm gonna win. I'm gonna win." The second you start doing that, you start opening yourself up to not paying attention to the actual game, and you risk really making more mistakes because of that. And
Yeah.
then after that, you like how I lost game two, you can end up with like, no, I should have won that. I should have won that. And it's that endless cycle of tilt after that you just sort of it spirals out, and then you lose control, and you like no matter how good you are, the second you stop actually playing the game, you've lost. Like you could have prepared 800 hours for the tournament, but if you are thinking about like, yeah, I've played 800 hours, I should just win, then like your opponent's actually playing the game and he's going to get the value on you and you're going to lose. It's as simple as that. Like you actually still have to play a game. I don't remember what the last spell played was. I think it was a True Strike.
Yeah, it was definitely it was
Yeah.
interesting. So you mentioned something that's important in tournaments, which is tilt. Like, how do you cope or get over tilt, or is it one of those things that like you're more preventative because once you get on it, it's really hard to get out, or how do you deal with tilt?
For the most part, what I try to do is be aware that it's going to happen. Like I know that there's some things that are just gonna like it's gonna make you so mad. Like I was able to laugh at myself when during the tournament there was an Abyssian player who played Sarlacc on turn two, or his turn one. Sorry. and he was player one. Puts it into the corner. Of course, like the next turn, I wasn't able to deal with it. And I wasn't like I had no three drops, so I wasn't able to play on the core tile as player two.
Oh
And
damn.
he moves the Sarlacc up to no wait, actually I did have a play, but I was like I had Silver Guard Knight and nothing to follow up, so I tried not taking the core tile. He moves the Sarlacc up to the top core tile, ritual banishings um, the Sarlacc to kill the Silver Guard Knight. The Sarlacc spawns on the middle core tile. He Darkfire sacrifices the Sarlacc. It spawns in just like one in and one to the right from the left player one corner in the bottom. So then he's able to play the Blood Moon Priestess in the corner because the Sarlacc spawned that way.
Damn.
And it was just like, and I was calling it on stream. I'm like, he's gonna do this, this, this. Like watch, and sure enough, it happened. And I just like I laughed. I just had to laugh. It was one of those moments where if you actually, I think Hearthstone is a really good tell for when you're tilting too much. Like I hate like the Hearthstone design. It makes me angry. But even then, I could just be like, I can move on from it. But if you play Hearthstone and you physically can't play more than like 5 games, it's bad. Like you have a real tilting issue, and you have to like. It works differently for everybody because there's a ton of different reasons that it happens. There's that sense of things are out of your control, which, like people have issues with that. There's a sense of you don't feel good enough, things like that. Like it really depends on the person. So you have to, oh my,
Oh wow.
that is big game.
Wasn't expecting that.
Big game. Holy cow. Like I was trying to play around some frenzy, but geez. So brutal.
What accounts for the general frenzy?
Oh, jeez. I think I have to keep the circle of life.
Yeah.
Run away!
Oh, the cool thing is now that pings generally, at least you can probably get something.
No, he's just gonna move up and Macantor Warbeast, and I'm gonna be dead.
It's not a card. It's okay.
Actually, I probably should have put the Blood Tier Alchemist because now I think I lose to. No, I guess I don't lose to Natural Selection. Okay, no, that's fine. But it's like there's a lot of issues, and for the most part, I actually do have mild schizophrenia. I've dealt with like mental illness my entire life, so I've been more aware of like what triggers me.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't deal with that stuff, or they don't think they have it, things like that. So they don't know what is actually causing their tilt. But it's a bit of soul searching in that regard. Oh no. Mana burn into Natural Selection. Oh god. No. Why? Why?
And there's
This is gonna be like
Magmar.
the worst interview. I'm just gonna lose like every single game.
It's okay. Next game's the triumph. The next game's the triumph. We're gonna bring it back. I mean, again, you haven't adapted this deck to the new rules and stuff like that very much to either. So I'm not gonna put it all on you. All right. So this game, let's just have you like walk through like give like new players or like players that want to learn duelists, like let's give them like your thought process and focus more on you, just kind of walking through like why you're replacing or discarding cards, why you're positioning a unit here or there. Just kind of give them like little tips and thought process things that new players might not like catch right away.
Yeah. So there's always this tiny fundamental difference in like mulligan decisions, because what a lot of it is that depending on what is actually in your deck and what the matchup is, things change. Like Sunstone Templar, I'm not keeping it at all. Like I'm player one, and of course, like I can't cast it on turn one, but against Petruvian, I tend to keep it because like on my next turn, I can cast it, and it's so important against Obelisk that it's so key. But against Lionar, there's just a lot more of a wanting to put a board presence on. And of course, like these cards, I'm not casting for like at least one turn in the case of Silhouette Tracer, at which point I'm still not actually getting any value, and two turns in the case of Jax. So all these cards are pretty bad. I mean, I've been mulling. Wow,
You got
I'm
the
really
other
glad.
two Sunstone Templars.
Hey, bro, I heard you like to spell. Like, why? Why? Um, God, there's just like nothing to do. Oh, this is like so bad. I heard you like Grizzly Bears, tutus, churches, old Magic reference.
Yeah, I
Well,
mean, the tough part is there's like the only other play was like you dispel a mana tile, but that only hurts you. So
yeah, because it's like I can't dispel the mana tile I would want to, which is this one right here.
would
Uh,
you ever consider playing nothing on that turn, or do you think it's more valuable to have the 2/2 out?
for actually, like in the last two games ago, I didn't play anything, but in this case, against Linar, I tend to want to have a board rather than not have a board. Oh my god. Why why does he got 4 3s and 1 4 when I just like have this? So mean. It's not fair. Why are you so cruel, life? Um I don't want to do okay, we'll move that there. Kill all the things.
Rar.
And there we go. Lionheart is like really there's I wish I had time to like go over like every match and stuff, but really it you see it when you're playing that like how the decisions matter. Uh like I do stream every once in a while and try to upload stuff to YouTube. It's a little harder right now just because I have someone living in my computer room for like the next month and a half, so can't quite be free. But there's a lot of decisions, and for the most part, like I would really like to like I'm used to it from my Magic background. Uh, so in this case, like Ephemeral Shroud isn't actually that useful, and Line is since I can cast it next turn, it might be a good catch up mechanic. So I would rather just play these things and deal with them that way. It, I think, yeah. With line art, I'm I really want aim to trade a lot more or like keep their minions off just to avoid any shenanigans with like Lion's Heart, Blessing, Divine Bond, uh, our Nexus. Any of like since they have so many types of buffs, uh, and I don't know what they're necessarily doing right away. I tend to want to trade more. And of course, this is a little bit different if you're like, say, Abyssian. Abyssian wants like as long as you keep them low health, you don't worry as much about their buffs because you also have like Dark Transformation if it gets too big. Whereas a Lionar facing a Lionar, you don't really have those options. Oh, that's a big game.
Yeah,
Den's game.
so it looks like he put it up there to get away from your Sunstone Templar, because originally it looked like he was gonna like, hey, I'm gonna taunt all these units, and then he was like, oh wait a second, it'll just like lose taunt the instant the Sunstone Templar hits it. So
Yeah. So like in this case, while it's not the best use of line get like Ironcliff Guardian is such a huge thing that getting it off the board before they can do some divine bond sort of shenanigans is really important. I don't want to attack. Like in this case against Lionar, I actually tend to want to keep my minions alive a little longer. One reason for this is even though they're tiny minions, when it comes to Arclight Regalia, they give me a few options to like trigger and deal with artifacts. Lionheart doesn't actually have good ways to deal with artifacts. So you have to sort of play with that in mind. Whereas something like Vitruvian has good ways to deal with artifacts, and you get a little more leeway with that. Ooh, I can actually steal the holy immolation. I want to. Do I want to? I think I want to. Why can't holy immolation heal generals?
It'd be pretty strong. There's been a lot of times where I feel like as a light art player, I've been like, if I could use Holy Immolation on my general, it'd be so awesome.
Yeah. Especially now with the changes. I have often made the very, very terrible mistake of Arclight Sentinel before attacking with the general. I've made it much more often than I care to admit, but yeah. Well, the thing is just catching those sort of mistakes and trying to improve on it. No one's perfect. Like, you could probably. I don't think that there's ever been a time where I've watched a video of Magic, like either a YouTube video or live coverage or anything like that, and not been, like, at some point been like, oh, I probably would have made this play instead. Even with the people who, like, win, like, 3-0 or whatever, it's like, you still kind of find something that they maybe could have done differently. Damn you, Iron Cliff. Jax is probably the worst card here. I would hate to have to trade another line here.
Is there any point where you would consider not replacing a card?
I find that there's just about no point. Like, unless you only have like two cards and they're both really important answers, there's not a whole lot of reasoning for it. Because like the way it works, like as it stands, oh god, my line glitched out. Okay, there we go. I was like, no, not again.
Please, no, not like this.
Anything but this. And I can move up so that you can't quite get around my silver guard. The reason for not actually wanting to replace or not like always replacing is that generally you're not when you have like these cards in hand, since there is a limit of 9 cores, there's cards I'm not going to use and cards that I generally wouldn't want to use. Like this ephemeral shroud is actually not that useful for this match. Oh, the full evolution again.
Damn, man.
So broken. Not fair. Please Raito, please nerf. So I can steal the holy immolation and deal with it, but like actually in this case, the shield oracle is probably the worst thing.
Jax is back.
Not that useful. So I can do this. Get that holy immolation. Revenge. I'll probably just like I don't know if there's much I can survive at this point, but you always got to play to your outs. I remember specifically in one of the tournament matches you shoutcasted, since I actually had the stream on in the background.
Yeah.
You guys were saying like, oh, I don't think I would have made that play because like now he can just die on this turn. And it was specifically because, like, say I put the Silver Guard Knight up there, right? So it's like, in theory, his Brawler has to attack the Knight, and then, like, his General attacks the Knight, or he has to attack it twice. And so I don't die that turn.
Grandmaster's here. Hey, well, you do have a response to it, at least.
Correct.
In a way.
If I'm not dead.
Yeah. That actually is key.
That's like kind of the important part. Oh my god, a lion would have been so good. Why you did this to me? So mean. Why?
So I actually noticed that you play actually very few buffs in your builds here. Why is that?
Um, I tend not to, especially now that the like card advantage is a thing. Um, one thing is people tend to play around the buffs anyway, as soon as they know what they are. And why do these cards come after? So mean, so cruel. Um, they tend to play around the buffs and like for
Oh God! Again. Uh.
this is gonna be the worst thing ever.
Yeah, it's gonna do it.
Yeah, because yeah, no matter how he attacks, I'm dead. It's so sad. Yeah, I guess I should be quitting this game. Apparently, like really bad at it now. Just for
just for the BMs.
just for the VMs.
He's got the 9 damage there. It was a close game though.
Really? Okay. I have to say that I hate Hearthstone for making it so appropriate to BM,
Oh yeah.
so socially acceptable,
Yeah.
because I actually have no reason to like I don't like BM.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I'll BM with like the kissy face,
Yeah.
because in the time you're taking to actually cast these spells, you're not like winning a game that you were gonna lose. Or like if you're pretending like you don't have the kill, all of this is actually just detracting from you like playing your game. Like if you've already won the game, why are you still playing it? Because like now you can't win another game. Like there's just like it's just seems like such bad value for if any benefit that you get. And so like I get sometimes it's funny, but it's really just a waste of time. Like I think my time is more valuable than that. You know, if other people find the value different, then that's fine. But I just like I don't care for BMing.
Oh,
Then
so
again, I'm losing here, so it's not like I can BM.
well, on the plus side, you get the rematch now, and he just first turn Tempest.
Yeah, that's a pretty good sign for me, at least. Oh, that was a mistake. That was a very big mistake. Ah, why did I go there?
Well, oh, going forward instead of off to the core, other core.
Yeah, because now I just wasted that core.
Oh yeah, because you could have got a Windblade adept out as well.
Yeah, for some reason I miscounted in my head. I was like,
you're just dodging the holy immolation play. You know you've seen his deck. You know he has 3. that's what you're planning for.
I actually do have to relook at Holy Immolation now that card advantage is a thing. Like before, it used to just be because like the how fast the metagame was,
Yeah.
because you would just keep throwing everything out. And board wiping wasn't actually that effective. All you did for 4 cores was like board wipe. Then you essentially lost initiative. So you had to like either have a good board or like really really strong follow up. Okay. It was actually all part of my ploy. Actually, damn it. No, I can't actually do that. Darn. I was gonna be like, like now I can seal the core tile this turn and jacks. But no, that's not how that works. F4. Okay, so actually I can do this and get use out of this card that I don't actually generally have use for.
There you go. Boom.
All right. Score. Pressure. Under pressure. Yeah, that's something I tend to do every once in a while, is just like randomly burst into a lyric from a song. But for the most part, with with Linar, it's kind of my wheelhouse. It's the faction I have the most experience with. I think they're somewhat underpowered. Like I still think that they're uh with Linar. I feel that one of the things is that their value is so good at the basic level versus other factions. But once you start getting into upper rarities, their their usability is actually like a little less, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it tends to fall off a little bit.
Yeah, like they fall off as you get more experience with the game. Um, Jacks it up. Holy immolation. This.
He's like, somehow he does.
um. So it's like I feel like I. Oh
uh,
my god. I can't win a game today.
the Tempest is too strong.
It's like game one, he casts like four holy immolations. In this game, it's oh
Yeah,
my
apparently he
god,
was cycling the Tempest last game.
yeah. Like all he has is Tempest and holy immolations. That's it, just all of that.
It's a bold move.
Um, so this is like one of those weird cases, but I actually want to because of like the risk of divine bond, or I actually want to deal a little bit of damage on the Silver Guard Knight. Though this kind of gives him a little more value on Holy Immolation, which is probably what's going to happen because he did just cast two Tempests. Oh, oh, that's end of turn, which for whatever reason wasn't happening. Um, this is like really sad. It's like I'm losing so many games. At this point, uh, I have a decent chance of winning. It would be a little bit better. No, I don't think it would actually work if I had Lion right now. But ooh, or Surge score. Oh no, I won't actually be able to put it in that spot. I was hoping to like I could put it back here. Um,
Yeah, and
and
get get the proc. That would be huge.
because like the other options are I do some combination of these, but that seems a little lackluster. Um, okay, so it's either I cast these three or I cast Sinja. Um, and so like this is one of those cases where it's really complicated. So like Blood Tier can kill this. Sunstone Templar can make this. Like there's no really good way for me not to like also lose the Silverguard Knight or the Silverguard Squire or leave him with like one or two things. So in this regard, um, I think this is likely the best use. Oh, I have to attack the provoked minion. Erg. That's a lot of damage. And oh, there's actually like, am I just dead? I might be dead. Now that I think about it, I will leave it at that. Yeah, that was actually probably pretty bad. Um, because
Lion
this is
burst.
provoked. This is provoked, and if he has a buff, I can't stop it. No, no,
Don't do it. Ah, holy immolation.
no, no. Damn
Hey,
it.
well, we've learned today that holy immolation really good.
Like, that's the thing. I don't think I was actually. Yeah, no, I was just dead. If he had
Yeah,
both Lionheart Blessing and Holy Immolation, because like even if I dispelled it, like I couldn't kill it.
it still would have
But
dealt 9 total. Or
yeah,
plus he has general. Yeah, Yeah,
Yeah.
that's tough. And you would have had something left even if you went the other route. So sometimes, just don't have the tools.
God, I'm losing my rank. I swear I'm good. I swear, look at this. Like, look at all these rank zeros. I was already rank 0 this season.
No, man, I don't think anybody's questioned that. I mean, you've had some tough opponents and some tough game trying to readapt this deck. So, I mean, if anything, like when I look at it, I feel like maybe I feel like you have maybe too many low drops, like because you still get out a lot per turn, but I think like some of the stuff like you pointed out like doesn't always have like an effect when it comes into play, and so like instead of having like more like resources that he has to like put a lot into to deal with or get rid of. Kind of ends up being ending up ahead.
Yeah. So, just as like a little bit of a history lesson sort of thing, I'll look at that. Like, now he's going to be famous.
Tanakin the God.
I'll show you the interview with these games. So like there's history lesson. So the mechanic Lionheart originally had, well, one of the mechanics besides Zeal was this ability called Retribution.
Mm-hmm.
And so how Retribution worked, because this was before there was Strike Back, is any unit that attacked during the game would be targeted by, like, would trigger the Retribution part of it. So True Strike originally was deal 2 damage to a minion or player. Retribution deal 4 damage instead. So, and it was still only cost 1, but at that point, let's say at any point you attack one of my minions with your general. For the rest of that game, all my True Strikes would deal 4 damage to your face.
Oh my god. No.
That's how like the game used to be played. And it was pretty good. Then Strike Back happened and Retribution went away, and it still dealt 2 damage to a minion or player, and now it only deals 2 damage to a minion. It used to be a 3 of card, and I'm finding like less and less that I want to use it. So it's definitely like it's just like really restrictive in that regard. But I think with the wipe, I might be switching up my wheelhouse a little bit. I think Vitruvian's pretty strong. Like Vitruvian, Abyssian, and Songhai are probably like my least played faction, specifically Vitruvian.
Mm-hmm.
So this is like a little awkward on this turn.
Hey, it's yummy macchiato. So delicious.
Oh, so actually one thing regarding that last game is it's easy to think like, oh, he had all these Tempests and Holy Immolations and blah, blah, blah. But I did make a mistake on turn 2, right?
Yeah, it's true, yeah.
And it's like, it's easy at the end of the game to forget that you did something so tiny. But, like, all those things really add up at the end of the day. Oh, Blood Leech, man, so strong. Okay, so in this case, the very obvious thing is the Windblade Adept is going to kill the Rock Pulverizer, which means I have just about 2 options here. I can move the Windblade Adept here and my general here, or the Windblade Adept here and my general there. It's only how much I want to move this positioning, but I will really only be able to take this one core tile. So for the most part, I want to actually keep as much pressure up on Songhai as possible, because they actually get so much range on Lionheart that it's like you actually can't catch them. I don't know if I'm explaining that properly, but it's like they can create so much distance between you and them.
Yes.
And like since they have all these damaging spells, it makes it so it's like you're really put in a position to try to get to them. And if they start doing things like silhouette tracering, you're in a lot of trouble.
Yeah, you basically cue Benny Hill music and then like cry.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Yeah, because especially for Liner's a faction where like you see your adepts right here. It's like they're gaining a lot of their strength out of like the fact that you're in Zeal formation, you're near your general, and if you have this brick moving around and they're just like swapping back and forth on the map, and they even buy like a turn, they can put out a lot of damage in that turn. So like yeah, it's definitely important to keep on top of them.
Yeah. Luckily, he didn't really have a good follow-up. So again, replace first thing on the turn. Yeah. Oh, he really didn't have anything. So this is going to be really bad for him. Things are going to get really out of control. Move everything up. And so this is like a little weird. You would think that like I just want to apply that much pressure, but the Silver Guard Squire is actually really good here for just like sort of pushing, like covering my back. So if he does do any weird like run shenanigans, I have something over on this area. Okay, now I have an Iron Cliff Guardian, and it doesn't matter. This is like so annoying as line art because it's like you have these like good cards like Silverguard Knight that it perfectly kills,
and then answers you with 5 damage.
It's like 5 damage is so much value. It's like, oh look, for one more, I get to kill one of your maybe kill one of your minions and heal. Yeah.
Hey, you're gonna cancel out that. You're gonna cancel out that spiral technique. This could be so good.
Oh, I you know what? Screw this. I'm going for the Lore Master. For the spiral technique.
I would too.
It's like get wrecked, Songhai.
So how do you feel about Lore Master and the new hand rules? Because a lot of cards like Lore Master got a significant buff from this, and like this is like a really good example of like now like any faction that has powerful spells, you could basically steal it and use it yourself.
Yeah, I think Lore Master was one of the highest benefiting cards. It's somewhat easy to, like, I wouldn't say it's easy to play around, but there are things you can do to sequence so that the Lore Master gets like a Sundrop Elixir versus a True Strike or like little things like that. But either way, it's a card advantage engine. Like a 3-1 is a little lackluster, but for the most part, you're getting a card out of it too. Like Lionar has Light Chaser that can get somewhat more of an immediate effect. But I mean, I got a Spiral Technique that's pretty good. And I think a lot of it is to really get the value out of it. You either have to have very cheap spells yourself that you know you want to reuse, or you have to build a little bit of a late game deck. Oh my god, no, I can't just like lose now, right? Like that would be horrible. That would be ridiculous if I also just like lost.
I don't think you can buff it on top of it, even if you had Inner Focus. Yeah.
It's like I was just like, oh come on, like I can't just like lose. Like what was he gonna do? Juxtaposition, Inner Focus, Mana Vortex, a Saber Spine Steel, Mana Vortex, another Saber Spine.
That would actually be pretty glorious. I would give him props for that.
It's just like, well, I deserve that. It's like if that's what happened. So yeah, like that Songhai game showed a little bit about if Lionar can apply a lot of pressure. Like Lionar has to be able to apply some pressure, and then usually you can pull ahead. But he definitely missed on his third turn 2 or turn 3. Yeah. He didn't cast anything, and like at that point he fell too far behind. Lionar is very good at taking advantages and snowballing in that regard, but they have like no comeback mechanic or really strong ways to seal out the game.
All right, so let's do you have any shout-outs?
You know what? I have to give credit to a lot of like the older players. There's Avatar Ignis, there's Ash, Deceptical, You have actually been like one of like the big like people, and of course like the counterplay team. Uh, like those are like all the people who are like I'm very proud to be part of that community. There's a people I'm probably forgetting too, and I feel like terrible for it. And then just as a personal shout out, it's of course my wife and my friend, like my friend who got me into the game, and my wife who like doesn't kill me every day despite my stupidity. Well,
That's always a
but
plus.
yeah, it's like yes, I lived.
Achievement unlocked. Survived another day. Where can people find you? If that you mentioned you can stream a little bit. What channels do you get? What's your channel?
Um, there's you can pretty much find me. The only place where it's somewhat different is Twitter, where there's no underscore. But it's Auran underscore Alchemist. But yeah, that's pretty much my handle on like everything.
All right,
Like,
cool. Right on, man. Well, thank you for taking the time for coming out here. Even though you lost some games, a lot of great content in there for new players who want to learn. And I'm sure that we're going to see you smashing people's faces in the upcoming tournaments.
yeah, I'm actually like happy to lose on stream in a way because it's like it shows new players like it's not like you can lose. Like you just always have to know that you can lose. That's one of the easiest ways to avoid tilt. Just know you can lose any game.
Yeah. And on that solid advice, we'll be wrapping it up. Thanks a lot, man.
Take care. It's like you're interviewing like you've been playing for a long time and you apparently have like a zero match win percentage. What friend are you getting to play the game for you? And that's pretty much just because like Twitch, I actually did have Auran Alchemist without the underscore, but they don't let you capitalize in the middle of a word. So there's a bit of a joke that I was the Auran Alchemist.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, which it's a little easier once you can see. And I think the final straw where I was like, yeah, I'm just starting my channel from scratch again was someone who said like a urinal chemist. I was just like, you know what? That's it. Like, I could deal with anal. I can't deal with urinals.